Hi, welcome back to my channel. It's Live Authentically with Krista. Thank you so much for being here. If you are here for the first time, welcome. I created this channel. I just wanted to create a channel to just be authentic and share life, share what I find valuable in hopes that maybe it might inspire someone else. Maybe it might inspire and bring change, or maybe it might bring breakthrough to someone else's life. You know, if I find breakthrough or something that values me, then I like to share that with other people. Stories, the things that you go through and like how you overcome struggles, that is what really helps people. When you're being authentic and you're just like sharing real life, like real stuff, sometimes the things that you share can really help other people. So this is why I'm vulnerable sometimes, and why I like to share at times. Not real personal stuff, but hey, I'm willing to share some things. You know, if I've overcome something, I'm willing to share it to help someone else. But today I was just kind of scrolling on social media I wasn't even on there for very long, but I saw several people like sharing the same thing. It kind of brought a smile to my face because I was just like reflecting on the things that they were sharing, and just like how true it is, and overthinking, like how much people do it. I overthink at times, you know. Sometimes I am like my own worst critic, right? I look at myself in the mirror. Sometimes I pick myself apart, you know. It's just like our minds, it cannot be a good place sometimes. Sometimes our mind is a negative place. Our feelings can really like wreak havoc on our life. The things that we think, if we're not keeping our thoughts captive, like we can really think negative things. And sometimes we can create scenarios in our brain that aren't even there. Can you relate to that? It's just like sometimes you're thinking, like you're overthinking a situation, you're overthinking, and you're creating scenarios in your mind, and you're creating problems that aren't even there. And for me, I am a huge encourager of just like promoting and encouraging communication, because I've been in so many situations in my life where I have been truly misunderstood as a person. I've been truly misunderstood as a person like so many times. So many times, and it has brought a lot of pain to my life, because it's just like, you chose to misunderstand me. You didn't even ask me questions. And you just, sometimes people just assume. They just assume, and they take what you said and they just really think completely negative about it. Like, I've been in this situation so many times where people sometimes that they think one thing that I say and they completely twist it. They completely twist it, and they completely take what I said wrong, you know? I've even had this situation with like one of my kids. We were both talking, and we were both like, our minds were so twisted, and it actually turned out to be funny. It actually turned out to be funny because, you know, my son was talking about one thing, and he thought I was meaning something different. Like, we both thought we were meaning something completely different. And this is just like how our minds work. You know, like men and women, like our minds are different. Our minds are different. And this is why like communication is so important, because, you know, God wired our brains differently. Sometimes he wires our brains differently, all right, for a reason. And probably, you know, so that we will like learn to help each other through our conversations, learn to help each other through, you know, our struggles, and just like really be vulnerable, talk about things. But I remember having a conversation with my son, and him and I were just like thinking completely different things. And then I was asking him questions, and we both were just laughing about it, because it's like, no, I thought you were thinking there. I thought you meant that. I thought you meant that. Do you understand what I mean? It's just like sometimes when you're having a conversation with someone, or it's just like sometimes you both think differently. You both think so differently. And because of that reason, you know, misunderstandings can happen, and you can totally take what someone said completely wrong and in a completely negative way, and that can like rub you the wrong way. But you know, I've really taught my kids because just because I've been misunderstood so much in my life, I've been misunderstood so much in my life, especially after the past few years. I really have. And because of that reason, like, I communicate with people and I really try to ask questions. I ask questions because I don't want to misunderstand anybody. I don't want anybody to take something that I said the wrong way, but it's hard. It's hard when you communicate and other people don't, and when people just choose to misunderstand you. And it has to do with that overthinking too. It has to do with that overthinking and just like choosing to just right away, just like taking something completely the wrong way. But that can like really wreak havoc on relationships when you don't communicate and you are like taking one thing that they said and just like twisting it in your mind. It's just like your mind twists and you're thinking completely differently, you know. And this is why I really encourage like communication and just like being vulnerable and asking questions, because I don't want to assume, you know. I don't want to assume and like make stuff in my mind, make up stuff up in my mind and create scenarios that aren't even there, you know. And I've done that before, but it's just like, nope, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm choosing to communicate with people. I'm choosing to ask questions because I don't want to misunderstand you. I don't want you to misunderstand me, you know. So it's just like overthinking can steal a lot of our joy. Overthinking can just like ruin a lot of stuff. It really can. But what I was seeing on social media was just like, you know, people are just sharing like about overthinking and just like, stop overthinking all of the time. Why don't you think about like how that situation can actually turn out great for you, you know, and just like have faith that things are going to work out and not be so negative all of the time, you know? So I don't know. That's the message. It's just like, just encouraging you to just like think positive, you know. Don't just immediately jump the gun. Don't immediately jump to just choosing to misunderstand people, and just like be willing to go the extra mile and just like have that conversation, you know, and just really ask that question, because you asking that question can save like a lot of heartache too. You asking that question can really like help your relationship like a lot if you like communicate and you're vulnerable and you're just talking. You're just like, hey, do you remember when you said that one thing? You know, is this what you were meaning? Or, you know, I don't know. Take what helps you and kind of leave the rest. But I'm just thinking just like how much overthinking can really be problematic. And it stems from just like, especially if it's if you were in a relationship with someone, by you not communicating and you like overthinking and just like immediately taking something that somebody says, you completely take it the wrong way. It just like, that can like really cause division in relationships, because you're taking what they said, you're twisting it in your mind. It's just like your mind automatically twists it, right? And you're assuming, or you're just choosing to misunderstand because you're not communicating, you know? So anyways, I hope this message helps someone, but really just stop overthinking all of the time. And I'm working on myself with this too, because sometimes I'm my own worst critic, and I try not to pick myself apart. I try to look in the mirror and I try to just say, you know, that, you know, I'm good, and that that I'm got beauty to my face, and just that I try to look at the good things. I try to look at the good things and I try to not be so negative about things. I try that, but I'm a work in progress. We're all on a journey of life, and sometimes we have to really stop those negative patterns that we have sometimes. And I know I've had things and that I've had to do away with, and I've had situations and things that I've dealt with in the past that it basically it caused me to change. It caused me to change. And that was especially in the form of communication, um, and why I really try to ask questions, because I don't like misunderstanding people, and I don't want to. I don't want to. Because sometimes it's just like when you're overthinking and you're not communicating, you can really cast somebody aside because of that, you know? And we shouldn't do that as people. We shouldn't cast people aside because of something that they said, because you chose to misunderstand them. Instead, it's really important to just like communicate and not overthink every single thing that someone says all of the time, and really just ask questions like, were you talking about me? Or um you know like, you said this, I took it completely negative. Or just like asking questions about why someone said something, or just ask questions, okay? So that you're not misunderstanding people. And I know I've got one friend that I really appreciate. I met her online, and we just have this friendship where, like, we're really honest with each other. We're really honest with each other. We're really vulnerable with one another, and I really appreciate her so much because, you know, we talk about things, and we choose to not misunderstand each other, and we really try to communicate a lot. And by us communicating, the way that we do at times, we don't talk all of the time, but when we do talk and we're communicating, it's just like, and we're really trying to help understand each other. It brings us so much closer together, you know? So this is the part of being vulnerable, and why it's important to be vulnerable with people and be vulnerable at times, because by you being vulnerable and just having those conversations and sharing how you're feeling, you know, you can really help each other understand each other, because I grew up in a different way. And if you grow up in a different way and you don't understand what I've gone through, you may not understand, why I show up the way I show up sometimes. Or, like, we can really help each other. We can help each other with our feelings. We can help each other. We can support each other through just be willing to just hear each other out. Be willing to just hear each other out and just understand, like, why are you feeling that way? Like, what caused you to think that way? What caused you to feel that way? And just be vulnerable with each other and have conversations like that, because by you being vulnerable like that, it can really benefit your relationships, and it can draw you closer together. And I know, like, this is something that I do specifically with one of my friends, because we've never had a falling out. We've never had a falling out because we choose to communicate. We've never had a falling out because we choose to communicate with each other, and we choose to help each other. Like, we are trying to understand each other. Instead of misunderstanding each other, we're trying to understand each other. All right? So anyways, that's the message. I hope you found value. Have you ever been in this situation where it's just like you were the overthinker and you assume the worst, or you're always thinking negative, Or have you ever been in a situation where just like other people are always overthinking everything that you say? Just curious. Drop it down below if you want to talk about it. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and if you found value, I love to hear, what you found value in, or if you're finding values here. All right, so I'll see y'all next time. Have a great day.